The Protectron control terminals. We usually get to taking a look at these terminals once the entire dungeon is already cleared. But these were designed to be used as handy little devices for the player. The idea goes that you can hack into the terminal and get the Protectron to fight for you for a period of time. The confusing thing is that the terminal has a bunch of different personality modes and there aren't any helpful tips telling you what each of these does. To add another layer of confusion onto that, the first one, the subway attendant, causes the Protectron to attack you. So let's go through each of these and I'll explain how they work. We're also going to talk about the Protectron override program that we found in the Watts Electronics shop during the video that I published yesterday. Now there are lots of different Protectrons in the game, especially after installing the DLCs. Automatron adds a bunch of different variations of the Protectron that you're usually going to find in Rust Devil Raider gangs. And then of course there's the Nukatron and the Galactron that came with Nuka World. But none of those can connect to these Protectron terminals, so we're going to focus on these today. The first is the regular Protectron. It's got a pea green paint scheme, and it has ranged and melee attacks. It has a laser on each arm that gives it pretty good ranged attack, and when it gets close enough, it will just bat its arms at an enemy as a form of melee attack. Choosing this option puts it into basic Protectron mode, where it walks around saying,
"Lawful use of deadly force is in progress. Citizens are advised to clear the area,"
and attacking enemies. The default state of the Protectron will be set to ignore you, but it becomes hostile to enemies that attack you. Even when you defend yourself and attack the enemies that attack you, the Protectron will still be on your side. It only attacks you if you attack it first. But this is very easy to do. All it has to do is get a little too close to a Molotov cocktail that you launched at an enemy, and it turns aggressive. Or let's say you're wearing power armor and you ground stomp, which damages it slightly, or bump into it, which damages it slightly, and it'll turn aggressive. Companions are also notorious for accidentally turning these aggressive by throwing grenades, so make sure that there are no grenades in your companion's inventory if you decide to let one of the Protectrons walk around. The second option is the Subway Steward. This one is really frustrating because once you change the personality to the Subway Steward and then activate the Protectron, it walks towards you and then asks for a subway token.
Powering up. Protectron on duty. Hello, citizen. Please present your subway token. Commencing lawful use of deadly force.
But it doesn't give you very long to give it a subway token. In less than 1 second, it immediately starts attacking you right after it finishes asking for a token. So for the longest time, I thought that there was no way to even give these guys the subway tokens that you find all over the wasteland. But you actually can give him the subway token, but it's very hard to do. I tried 4 or 5 different times before I finally succeeded. As soon as he finishes asking you for the token, you have to immediately hit E. That will give him the token and he remains peaceful.
Citizen, please present your subway token. Rider token received. Thank you for riding Holston's historic subway system.
There's really no reason to choose the subway attendant unless you just want the experience, because he doesn't have any interesting weapons that are different from the regular Protectron, and he's just much more difficult to work with. Now, the next 4 personality choices correspond to different types of Protectrons that you can find in the Commonwealth. The problem is that if you change the personality of a Protectron that doesn't come with the equipment for that personality, nothing much changes. For example, you can change the personality of the Protectron to Police Protectron. Now there is an actual Police Protectron in the game. It's blue, it's got a flashing light on top, and it has its own weaponry. If you change the personality of a regular Protectron in one of these little Protectron charging areas, all it does is change the personality, which changes the dialogue of this Protectron. The Protectron doesn't change paint schemes, and it doesn't adopt the weaponry of that unique Protectron. So if you change the personality of the Protectron to police, he talks about law and safety.
Attention. Interfering with a law enforcement robot is a felony.
If you change it to fire brigade,
Please remain calm if you are injured.
if you change it to medic, he talks about your injuries, but he doesn't actually heal you.
Protect and serve. Please remain calm if you are injured.
And if you change his personality to utility worker, he begins to spout off safety warnings. For example, he says that you need to comply with hard hat regulations.
This work site has gone 0 days without an incident. Warning. Union violation detected. Last recorded break was 9,999 hours ago. Hard hats are required while within a work site. Please wear your hard hat.
Now, I have read elsewhere that the utility worker Protectron will actually attack you if you're not wearing a hard hat, but I haven't seen that happen in my game. In my game, if I'm not wearing the hard hat, he just continues to warn me about it, saying, you need to put on a hard hat. If you do put on a hard hat, he recognizes the fact and thanks you.
Your compliance with hard hat regulations has been noted. Thank you for your cooperation.
Now, the best place to find all of the different types of Protectrons that you can typically find in these charging stations is at the Robotics Pioneer Park. In one of the cabins, you find 4 Protectrons: a police, a fire, a medic, and a utility. They're all connected from one terminal. You can change their personalities, but their default personalities are the ones that reflect their paint scheme. Once you activate the Protectrons, they walk on over to the stage. I guess pre-war, they were part of a Protectron display. After they display themselves, they go on a patrol of the park. As they get close to the second cabin, a Deathclaw jumps up from the cabin and begins to attack the Protectrons. The police Protectron stands from a distance and shoots with its laser guns. The medic Protectron has defibrillators on its arms and tries to shock the enemy. It does electrical charged melee damage over and over. The Fire Brigade Protectron is equipped with basically a cryolator gun. It tries to freeze the enemy, and it shoots it with frozen damage. The Utility Protectron bats its huge clamps at the enemy. Now, you find the Protectron override software in the Total Hack magazine at the Watts Electronics shop that I showed you in my video from yesterday. This holotape is really cool and allows you to do a bunch of really cool stuff. Here's how it works. When you find a Protectron charging station, open up the terminal. You can then load the Protectron override software. When you do, you find 2 options. The first is disengage safety sensors. If you choose this option, the Protectron connected to the terminal via the charging station will be aggressive to everything: enemies, your companions, and you. If you choose the option Override Alliance Parameters, you basically program the Protectron to recognize you and your companions as allies. It will then attack all enemies in the dungeon, but it'll leave you 2 alone. This, I think, is a good option for if you've accidentally turned a Protectron aggressive, but you don't want to kill it. Then just go to the Protectron's terminal and reprogram it. It will accept instructions even if it is no longer in the charging dock. Now, these are typically the only 2 options you have. But if you first activate the Protectrons, let them walk around a little bit, then go back to the terminal and load the Protectron override software, a 3rd option appears. This one is called Hijack VIP Escort Protocols. This option turns the Protectron into a temporary companion.
Assignment received. Escort VIP. Greetings, sir or madam. I will be your personal escort during your visit to name of operational area.
Not only does the Protectron recognize you as an ally and defend you and attack your enemies, but it'll follow you around the dungeon. What's really cool about it is it follows you outside of the dungeons. Here I am at the Super Duper Mart, and as I leave, he follows me outside. Now, when I get too far away from the Super Duper Mart, he says that his VIP escort is complete.
Escort complete. Good day. Name a very important person. It was a pleasure to serve you.
However, from my experience, he continues to follow me around. This can be really useful, especially early on in the game, because you can sometimes find legendary Protectrons in these charging bays, as I did at the Super Duper Mart. This guy walking around protecting me is a legendary Protectron, and he's just tearing up all of the raiders in Lexington. From what I can tell, he continues to follow me no matter where I go until he is killed. I fast traveled to the opposite side of the Commonwealth, and he continued to stick around with me until killed. Now, I went back to the Robotics Pioneer Park with this guy as my temporary follower, and then tried to hijack the VIP escorts for the 4 Protectrons that were in the Robotics Pioneer Park. Sadly, what this did is it randomly selected one of the 4 and gave it to me as a temporary companion. So after doing this, I lost the legendary Protectron as a companion, and instead, the medic became my companion. But he did follow me around. When I fast traveled to the Fallon's department store, he came with me and he attacked the super mutants on my behalf. My guess is that Bethesda intended these guys to only follow us for a short distance and then go back, but for some reason they don't obey their own dialogue. In my game at least, after hijacking them, they continued to follow me perpetually until they died. Now, it is unlikely that you could keep them alive forever, unless you play on the PC, in which case then you can simply use console commands to make him immortal. Now, that is technically cheating, but if you do that, then you've got a permanent robot follower. Of course, you could always make one of your own using the Automatron DLC, but not everyone has that DLC. And so there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that is the full story of the Protectron charging stations that you find dotting the wasteland. Now that I better understand how these work, I for one am excited about my new playthrough, where I hope to take advantage of these charging stations while I'm still young and weak enough to benefit from it. The Protectrons are a welcome and fun part of the game. You find them all over the place, and they're often used to comical effect, especially in Nuka World. When you go to Dry Rock Gulch, you find some Protectrons wearing cowboy hats, pretending to be cowboys. It's just hilarious. What do you think of the Protectrons, ladies and gentlemen? His design bears striking resemblance to Robbie the Robot, whom we were first introduced to in the 1956 film Forbidden Planet. He went on to star in a lot of science fiction movies from the time, making this robot design iconic for a bipedal robot of the time period. That's probably why the Protectron looks this way in Fallout 4. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. I read all of your comments and I use them as inspiration for my new videos, so your best bet of getting me to do a video on the topic of your choice is to leave your request below. If you'd like to talk with other Oxhorn viewers about Robbie the Robot, the Protectron, or anything else Fallout 4 related, you can join my Discord server using the invitation link in the description below. For those of you who like what I do and want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my subscribers on Patreon. Patreon subscribers gain access to a private subscriber-only channel on my Discord server, as well as a bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. But more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just so glad that you're here watching this video today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early with a brand new video.
Please remain calm if you are injured.